Antifa thug Gage Haliupowski received a 6-year prison sentence after taking a plea bargain deal on lesser charges for a brutal baton attack at the same Antifa riot which led to the brutal assault on Andy Ngo 260. Samantha Davis, a second aide to Democrat Senator Maggie Hassan, was charged in the Kavanaugh smear doxing scandal 261. This follows the sentencing of Jackson Kosko, the first Hassan aide to be charged for his part in the scandal, to 4 years in prison for the crime. 6 childish Antifa punks stalked and harassed Andy Ngo at his Portland home during Halloween, part of a campaign of criminal harassment, including doxing and death threats, by the hate group against him and his family. 262. In typical cowardly fashion, the punks fled after Ngo called the police. AOC backs anti-cop protesters jumping subway turnstiles in NYC. 263. Maryland Democrat Sanctuary County Executive Mark Ilrich prohibited police in Germantown, Maryland from displaying a thin blue line flag, speciously claiming the symbol to be divisive. 264. Robbery, double sex assault were hoax by illegals trying to dodge deportation, according to police. 265. It was all a lie. Every employee present that evening, every customer, participated in a deliberate hoax. Not only do we have a hoax, we have a racially motivated one, for something called the U visa. 266. A visa that's granted to illegal aliens who are victims of crimes and help out with police investigations. It's unknown how many of the people involved in the hoax had planned to apply for U visas because King County, Washington doesn't ask about immigration status when it arrests people. Caitlin Bennett and her fiancé of Liberty Hangout were assaulted and their property damaged by violent Antifa leftists on November 5, 2019. Apparently, they did not want their violent actions to be filmed in a public space. The police failed to properly take action against the leftists, and refused to press charges. 267. Cowardly Antifa thugs in Leipzig, Germany, broke into the apartment of a real estate company employee and beat her. 268. Maryland's Montgomery County, a sanctuary county, ignored orders from ICE and released Luis Freddy Hernandez Morales, an illegal immigrant from Guatemala and a pedophile, who had been held following his arrest on a charge of molesting an 11-year-old family member. 269. ICE was subsequently able to recapture Hernandez Morales and he is now back in custody. It was later revealed that county officials only gave ICE a 15-minute warning before they originally released Hernandez Morales, which led to criticism of the county for its actions by ICE Baltimore Field Office Acting Director Frank Madrigal. 270. Crazed vandal destroys conservative recruitment materials from a conservative student group at UMich. 271. Andy Ngo revealed in a Heritage Foundation speech that the ultimate goal of Antifa is communism, and that violence and fascistic behavior are among their tools in achieving that goal. 272. A particularly vicious Antifa rioter, claiming to be a professor, tried to act like an animal as she attempted to take a bite out of professional MMA fighter Terrell LaRosa during an Antifa attempt to start a riot at a Veterans Day rally in Portland. 273. The Antifa punk was no match for LaRosa, who pinned her to the ground after she tried to attack another woman, and the punk was kept pinned until she was picked up and arrested by Portland police. Rashida Tlaib, who has a history of anger issues, is slapped with a $2 million lawsuit after being accused of battery and assault against Laura Loomer. 274. Iowa resident Christian De La Torre pleaded guilty to making threats against President Trump and for planning to bomb the White House. 275. As a result of the guilty plea, De La Torre faces up to 5 years in federal prison, a $250,000 fine, and 3 years of supervised release following any prison time he receives. Islamic Democrat activist and Hillary Clinton supporter Ibrahim Al-Jahim was arrested and charged with a homosexual assault of a mentally handicapped high school student in Hamtramck, Michigan. 276. Investigations continue in more sexual assaults of minors. 277. North Carolina State University remains silent after a group of anti-free speech fascist thugs from the Young Democratic Socialists of America targeted and spray-painted pro-Trump student Jack Bishop, the son of a Republican congressman, at a Turning Point USA event at the NCSU campus. 278. In a statement to the Raleigh News and Observer, a leftist group called No Hate at NC State Coalition defended and excused the punk's criminal behavior and blamed Bishop for the attack, despite Bishop being the victim of the assault. A left-wing protester threw a milkshake at Brexit Party candidate Mitchell Firestein during a campaign stop by Firestein. 279 The punk, described by Firestein as a skinny white male, missed his target but hurled vulgarities at him before the punk ran cowardly away. This incident, which was condemned by Firestein and his campaign, was one of several such attacks on Brexit Party candidates and their supporters by childish leftists in recent months. Amanda L. Kondratyev, the failed Democrat political candidate who threw a slushie at Matt Gaetz in childish retaliation after losing a congressional election to him, was sentenced to a 15-day prison term. 63. Left-wing protesters threw eggs at a Nigel Farage rally. 280. December 2019. Rebel News reporters Sheila Gunn Reid and Kian Bext were harassed and assaulted by leftist union thugs, who also falsely and hypocritically called the reporters Nazis while the thugs behaved like Nazis themselves, during a protest at a convention for the United Conservative Party in Calgary, Alberta, when they tried to interview the protesters following a speech by radicalist Alberta NDP MLA Sarah Hoffman at the protest. 281 One particular protester, in typical cowardly fashion for a leftist, was caught on camera using his protest sign to shove Gunn Reid from behind. Gunn Reid and Rebel News founder Ezra Levant both plan on filing assault charges against the attacker, while Levant and an unidentified individual have offered a reward for the identity of the attacker. 282 who had his face partially obscured during the assault. In another case of liberal stupidity taken to extremes, a deranged Florida leftist in the throes of Trump derangement syndrome attempted to commit suicide by stabbing herself repeatedly in her stomach, telling police officers who responded to the scene that she was tired of living in Trump's country. 283 The woman was subsequently taken to hospital by ambulance for treatment of her injuries and to be held for mental evaluation. 284. Paul Cato, a leftist high school teacher in Mason, Michigan, was placed on leave pending a police investigation after he ripped a pro-Trump button off of one of his students, Sadie Iragud, in class, and assaulted her as she tried to resist. 285. A 14-year-old student in Hamilton County, Florida, was beaten on a school bus in a politically and racially motivated attack for wearing a MAGA hat. 286. 287 The 5 teenagers who were caught on camera assaulting the boy were charged by police with misdemeanor battery. Anti-ICE, pro-illegal immigrant New Jersey native Carlos Alejandro Tarek was charged for posting Twitter threats to kill ICE agents. 288. The pornographic magazine Hustler sent Christmas cards to members of Congress depicting an assassination of President Trump. 289.